Hey guys, welcome back to Shep Talk and welcome back to another Shep Talk movie review. But before we get into that review, guys, just a quick admin note. One, if you haven't done so already, go like my second YouTube page, Darth Shep Gaming. That is where all my gaming videos are going to be. And if you want to stay up to date with me, what I'm doing, what I'm reviewing, where I'm going, make sure you follow me on all my social media. Those links will be in the description down below. Let's get to my review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was directed by Joaquin Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson. Was written by Philip Lord, Christopher Miller, and Dave Cullum. Stars Shamik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Oscar Isaac, and Jake Johnson. And I apologize if you can hear Cotton in the background. He is trying to make himself comfortable. I don't know why he did that, why I started recording. But yeah, there we are. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has a runtime of 2 hours and 20 minutes. Miles and Gwen are trying to live their lives after the events of the first movie, but both are feeling alone and feel like they have no one to talk to when anomalies start happening across the Spider-Verse, and it will take more than one Spider-Man to save the Spider-Verse. First of all, I'm going to say I was very excited, or really super excited, when they announced the sequel to the first Spider-Man movie, Into the Spider-Verse, because it really came as a surprise. It took everybody by storm. People were really not sure how the animation was going to go and how the story was, but it pretty much took the world by storm. And then so when they said there's a sequel coming, everybody I think was really excited. I started having trepidations though about this movie when we started seeing more and more of the spider people in here, because I was like, I hope to God they're not going to take what everybody really enjoyed, which was seeing all those different spider people in the first movie and just cramming as many as they could into this movie. And I'm glad to say that that was not the case. Yes, there are a lot of spider people in this movie, but they don't really oversaturate this movie with them. They don't really overpower Miles and Gwen and Miguel and their story. This movie kind of flips the script, where like the first movie we started obviously with Miles Morales and saw how he became Spider-Man and how he grew into his powers, where this movie flips it, where we start with Gwen after the events of the first movie, but with flashbacks and kind of getting a little bit of a sneak peek to her backstory in this one, but also seeing how the effects of the first movie are affecting her now, as well as the history that she has in the first, in her backstory. Gwen is that strong woman, or she portrays that strong woman, but you know, there are things happening behind the scenes that she's just not letting everybody see. Then we switch over to Miles and his universe, but of course we already saw what happened in the first movie with Miles and even his backstory. This time though, we kind of get a little bit of a sneak peek of how he is behaving with that power now. He's been Spider-Man for a minute now, and we get to see him dealing with how he is with those powers and how he's balancing school life and family life and that responsibility, and how they're really not meshing up with him. And speaking more about Miles Morales and his family, there's just something about the writers and how they have written the Morales family where it just seems so dynamic, so real, that really when they're on screen, and they do have a lot of screen time in this movie, it does not feel like it's bloated or wasted time. We really, or at least I did, felt invested in the Morales family and feeling for his mom, his dad, and feeling how Miles is dealing with these superpowers that he now has, but not able to tell his parents, and try to balance that family life with his superpowers, and it's putting a strain on him and his family. This movie takes what really worked well in the first movie and just adds on to it. A lot of movies, especially when there's a big ensemble cast like there is in this movie, really will just like have these background characters, have these cardboard characters where they're just nothing really to them, but they are growing on them. We get to see Gwen, we get to hear more of her story, we get Miles, we get more of his story, but we also start getting to see like other people. We get Miguel, Spider-Man 2099, we get Spider-Woman, and we see a sneak peek. We get to see behind the curtains a little bit and know that they're not one-dimensional characters, which I think is really well. And then even the storyline is not, you know, this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes, but it really doesn't feel like 2 hours and 20 minutes. it seems like it is a well-developed, well thought out movie of Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and how life is in that kind of world. And they once again kill it with the animation here. Each Spider Person from their different Spider-Verse has a different animation. And you would think that it doesn't work or it shouldn't work, but it really does. It is fun to watch and it's interesting to see what they come up with. I will say though, with the animation styles being different, especially with this movie starting off in Gwen's universe, Gwen's colors are very bright and flashy and dynamic. And for me, I was starting to get a little bit of a headache before I started adjusting to it. So that might be an issue. And I think they've actually issued some warnings about if you have, I forgot what they call it, but like flashing, strobing lights kind of syndrome. If that really triggers you, then yeah, this might, trigger you just a little bit. So be careful going into that and knowing that that might happen to you. And with a movie like Miles Morales Spider-Man, the soundtrack has to be on point. And I'm glad to say that this soundtrack is pretty much fire. Like, you really can sometimes not even tell that the music is blending into the scene or how it's promoting emotion to you in this scene that it's in. But the music is really well. So it is great to see all these different types of music coming together and really working really well. I think this soundtrack is pretty fire. Miguel is introduced in this movie. He is the Spider-Man from 2099, played by Oscar Isaacs. He is like a really brooding character. He, in my opinion, the way I'm describing him is he's kind of the Batman of the Spider-Verse. He is all about protecting the Spider-Verse at all costs. No ifs, ands, and buts, and this is because of stuff that's happened to him in the past when he's kind of messed with the Spider-Verse and seen the effects that happen. So he is not listening to anybody's opinions or different ideals on how to handle situations. It is his way or the highway, and most Spider people have fallen in line with how Miguel has seen it and calls it. But of course, Miles being Miles, he's not of the opinion to follow someone just because they say this is the way it should happen. And like I stated earlier, there are so many Spider people in this movie. And like I said, I was really worried when I was going into it that with the oversaturation of Spider people in this movie that it would distract or limit the storytelling that was going to go on, which it really doesn't. But I will say that the trailer lends to it that the Spider people have more of a role in this movie, or in there a lot more. And I'm here to say that that is not the case. The Spider people do have an important part in this movie, but they're not fully into this movie. Like at the very beginning, it's Miles and Gwen. They are the two main people of this movie. Even throughout, they are the two main people. And then when we start getting more into the Spider-Verse, Miguel is really the third main person in this movie. And all the rest of the Spider people have supporting roles and stuff like that. But I will say probably the fourth, maybe if you want to call him the fifth main character in this, is Spider-Punk. And he is probably turning into one of my favorite Spider people, at least in the Miles Morales Spider-Verse movie. Just his anarchy, his animation style, his attitude. He was so fun on screen to watch, and I would love to see more of him. There are a lot of Spider people in this movie that I'd like to see spin-off movies. I think it would be great. We had the Mumbai Spider-Man. I would love to see him. He just seemed to have this great on-screen presence, and his world looked really fun to explore. Spider-Punk looks like another one where he would be like this great anarchist punk person to see what his world is kind of like. And holy crap, the cameos and Easter eggs in this movie. Like, I was expecting some cameos and Easter eggs in this movie because it's animation and it's easier to kind of like draw in the Easter eggs and put in some cameos. But there were some major cameos in this movie, and there was one in particular that had the theater just hollering with like surprise and excitement to see this person in the Spider-Verse in the role that he was in. It was really fun and exciting. I'm not going to ruin any of the cameos or Easter eggs. I'm just going to say keep your eye out on these because they were very fun. Now for the ending of this movie, I'm going to say I'm not sure if many people are going to be happy about this. I don't know if it was announced already, but maybe it was, because on the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Twitter, they've already announced it. It's in their bio. So if not, I'm just going to come out and say it. This movie is split into two. So don't go in there thinking you're going to get a complete movie. This movie ramps up really well. The ending is so intense between Miles and Miguel, and their two ideals not jarring really well, and stuff that is happening to Miguel, I mean not Miguel, but Miles, and how it leaves off, and then Gwen and her story and where it leaves off. It is very, very intense, and it's like, oh my god, I was sitting in the theater waiting for the next scene, and then boom, to be continued hit the screen. I couldn't remember if it was announced or not. I was like, I think I remember hearing that it being announced, and now we gotta wait until March of next year for, what is it, Back into the Spider-Verse or something like that. I can't remember what the name is. I'll put the card up here if I find it. But yeah, so there really isn't a mid-credit scene for this, because there is and there isn't. Really, the mid-credit scene in here is, you know, Spider-Man will return in the title card for the next Spider-Man movie. So yeah, but man, where it leaves off is just so crazy, and I was just like, what the hell? I want to see where this story is going. What is this? Fast and Furious, or Fast 10 left off in a cliffhanger, and now we get Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse leaving us on a cliffhanger as well. Whew, guys, I'm gonna just say it right out, man. This movie is straight fire. I think a lot of people have been saying it, but I think it hands down beats the first Spider-Man movie. Hands down, I think it's probably the best Spider-Man movie out there right now. It might be just because of the hype of this, but man, I was feeling it. As soon as the movie ended, I wanted to see it again. It's been a while since I've had that kind of feeling, that kind of hype for a movie of any kind. So yeah, I will definitely probably be checking it out again. Man, the storytelling is really well done. The music, the soundtrack is really well done. The layered stories are done. The animation is done so well. This movie is across the board just so well done, so handled so perfectly. Go see this movie in the theaters. Do not sleep on this movie. This is a movie that should be enjoyed in the theaters, enjoyed with the Spider people that we have, the Spider fans out there. And guys, with that being said, Shep Talk is going to give Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse 5 Sheps out of 5. Go see this movie. Do not sleep on it. With that being said, though, guys, that is all I got time for today. Thank you for watching. And guys, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Like this, leave a like, leave a follow, share this video. Guys, I truly appreciate it. It does help my channel out greatly. But that is all I got time for today, and I will see you in the next review.